Question number one is, why do I feel like I have to clear my throat all the time when I'm singing? Or what causes me to have all this phlegm in my throat while I'm singing? And 100% honesty, it's not a good sign. One of the ways that our bodies respond to trauma is with the production of mucus. Our bodies don't know that we're trying to sing. All they know is that something is not working right. Part of our body is being hurt, and so the mucus is to protect the body. So if you're producing a lot of mucus and having to clear your throat a lot when you sing, if you feel that froggy throat or phlegm in the throat kind of feeling and you have to constantly clear it, then you're doing something wrong. Unless you're actually sick or have a cold or have a sinus issue. But if you know you're not sick and if you're not clearing your throat any other time except for when you're singing, you're not doing something right. You're pushing excessively, or you're squeezing something. You might be pulling chest voice up too high. You might be doing any myriad of things, but something's not right. And so you need to troubleshoot and check out what aspect of your technique is lacking, what part of your vocal coordination is not syncing up properly, because something's wrong there. The next question is a really popular one, and I guess this edition of Ask Eric is some tough truths, I guess. One of the questions I get a lot of is, Eric, I can sing really good, I sound good, but when I record myself, I don't sound so good. What am I doing differently? And again, being 100% honest, from my experience and working with so many clients and so many singers, chances are that's just how you sound. And you might say, no, of course not, I can't sound like this. Going back to how the human body works, for those of you who sing with a lot of tension in your throat and who squeeze a lot, even if you don't feel like you're really straining, you might be singing with more tension and more constriction in the body than you need. It causes the sound to ring within the body, and for you, the singer, the sound will sound really resonant, really full. It can sound trumpety, it can sound rich and warm and this really colorful tone. But what's really coming out in real life is a nasal sound or a dry sound or a flat sound. And it can be hard to deal with, because I remember the first time I ever heard myself recorded, I kind of wanted to kill myself because I just couldn't believe it. I was like, how am I going to ever have a career as a singer if I sound like this? And it was so disillusioning. But the fact was, I was straining. And to me, it sounded really full and powerful and rich. But what was coming out on the recording was this very nasal, very forced sound. And I had to realize that that's an objective ear. Today, most computers, most recording devices, they're digital. And while they may not all be 100% studio quality that you would want to put on an album or on a single, they give you a very accurate idea of how you sound. You know, there might be a little more high end or more low end or whatever on it, but for the most part, that's how you sound. So the key is to not have a panic attack and tell yourself that you sound awful and that you'll never sound good, but use the recordings as an objective pair of ears. Listen to yourself and hear what you need to fix. Chances are you need to release a lot of tension and start opening up. And I know that's a generic, that's some generic advice, but I have plenty of videos that give specifics on that. And so both free ones on YouTube and really in-depth ones on my website that you can purchase on DVD or for download. So there's a lot. Are you getting your breath down low enough? Are you blending your registers, or are you pulling up again? Is your larynx shooting up and giving you a squeezed sound? And I find that a lot of students who want to have that Justin Bieber or Chris Brown sound, they hear them and they hear this kind of treble sound, this very light sound and sometimes stylistically pinched sound. And they try to achieve that, and they achieve it through a lot of squeezing, and it doesn't give them the sound that they were expecting, the sound that they wanted. And it can really throw you off. Again, it's tough to deal with, but don't freak out over it. Use it as a tool to help you improve. It took me, honestly, several years to get to the point where the voice that I heard in my head is the same voice that came back to me in my recordings. And the reason why it took several years instead of several months is because in the beginning I was stubborn. And I wanted to blame the recording equipment and all this other stuff, and maybe I just wasn't hearing it right. But just like they say, a picture doesn't lie, or, the mirror doesn't lie. Well, actually, pictures and mirrors can kind of lie. But like I said, even a recording may not be 100% accurate, but there's at least a good 80% chance that, like, 80% of that is you. There might be a little feedback, a little distortion, a little too much high end or low end on the recording. But today, with digital technology, which is what most new laptops and desktop computers, and the camera I'm using right now, I'm using a Flip HD, the sound quality is pretty on. So if you sound off, it's probably because you're off. So the key is not to go into a state of denial, but to listen to it, see what you have to fix. One of the things that me and my A-Approach staff do on my website, we do vocal analysis. And so we listen to your voice, we hear the issues. That's why it's so important to have a one-on-one lesson with a voice teacher, because a lot of times you don't hear yourself accurately. If you're one of my students watching this now, comment, you can vouch for me on this and let everybody know it's true. I tell my students often, you're not allowed to tell me what you think of your voice yet in the first couple lessons, because 9 times out of 10 you don't have an accurate perception of what your voice sounds like. I have a lot of students who think they sound horrible when they sound free, and I have a lot of students who think they sound wonderful when they sound tight and flat or squeezing and sharp, and they think they just sound great. And I'm like, no, it's not what you think it is. And when they hear themselves record it, you're like, it's like a punch to the stomach, because they weren't expecting it. But utilize the recording, assess yourself. What do you hear that you don't like about your voice? If you can hone in on the specifics, then you can have a clear-cut plan on how to fix it. This brings me a little bit into constructive and destructive criticism, and this is very important. It's pointless to down yourself, to just say, oh, it sounds bad, it just sucks, and this just sucks, and that sucks. That's destructive criticism. That's not, people talk about being brutally honest all the time. Honesty doesn't have to be brutal. There's no sense in that. Honesty is pure in itself. There's no need for brutal honesty, just truth. So what you need to do is listen to yourself and use specific terms. Are you flat? Are you sharp? Do you sound tight? Does it sound too breathy? Does it sound too heavy? Does it sound too this, too that? But be very specific with it. And are you off the rhythm? Are you having trouble finding the beat? Were you pretty much on and then had just trouble on these particular notes at the top, or were the low notes the problem? Were you using too much head voice, too much chest voice? Be specific. That way you can come up with a specific solution. And it's in coming up with the solution to the specific problems that we build, and the criticism becomes constructive. When I hear someone sing, I can say, you're flat, let's fix it. I'm not downing them or putting them down. It's science. If you're flat, you're flat. If you're supposed to be singing a B, but your voice is vibrating at a frequency of an A or a B flat, then you're not on the note. And that's just all it is. But we will come up with a solution to fix it. It's not, oh, you suck, give up. No, it's listen to yourself, come up with a solution, and fix it. And if you need help, if you don't know where to start, then check out www.aapproach.com. You can take one-on-one lessons with me. I teach all around the DC, Maryland, Virginia areas. I travel to teach for people as well. We do workshops all over the doggone place. I'm a teacher at the Maryland Performing Arts Center. I do workshops everywhere. I teach privately. You can work with me on Skype. I have staff. If you can't work with me, you can work with them. And one of the things that we focus on is assessing the voice, targeting specifically what the issues are, and honing right in on those, because everybody is different. And so if you're listening to yourself, doesn't sound the way you want, don't give up and fall into despair. There is hope. This same thing applies to all of those who have sent me messages of, I normally sound great when I'm singing with the radio, but when the radio turns off, then suddenly I don't sound as good. Well, when you're singing along with Leona Lewis or Freddie Mercury, if the volume's kind of up, Leona or Freddie might be doing most of the work there, And so it may not be as much of you as you think. And sometimes the radio really does help you stay in tune because you can kind of hear them and it locks you in. But either way, you can't lean on that stuff. So you've got to learn to start singing by yourself, and it's got to sound good with just you. And you've got to be able to keep yourself in tune and learn to hear yourself accurately. Good singing is 80% hearing. You've got to be able to hear yourself accurately. You can have the best tone in the world, but if you're singing all the crazy pitches that are out of tune with the key, then you're going to sound bad. Or if you're really out of rhythm, you're going to sound bad. You have to listen with a focused mind and with an honest ear. Learn to be truthful with yourself. Don't lie to yourself about how you sound. This is not the same as downing yourself. Just be honest with yourself about what the issues are and what you have to fix. It'll give you a more clear vision of where you have to go if you know where you are now. Go to aapproach.com to get the vocal stuff, and stay tuned because next week I'll begin the rock videos that I promised in my How to Sing Like Blank series. And so I don't want to give away just yet, but you know, rock is so diverse, and so I'll be covering many aspects of rock, from past rock legends to current rock superstars. So stay tuned. Until next time, peace.